and welcome back to City Facts by Heema. In today's vlog, we are going to talk about do's and don'ts while purchasing a property on rent. It can be a house, it can be an apartment, it can be a condo, it can be a duplex, whatever place you're going into for renting purposes. You have to make sure to just keep in mind a few things which I'm going to just tell you and never do the mistakes which I did. So let's begin this video without wasting any time. So whenever you're coming to Canada, the first thing people do is go on Marketplace or Kijiji to find out houses. And sometimes they're finding their houses online. They're just giving money to the people and they're like, okay, if I've booked this place, that means that's final for me and I do not need to even check it. Never buy a house like that. That's the biggest mistake somebody can do. Always come to Canada and then go and see the property by yourself and then only book it. Initially, you can come here and stay in a hotel or Airbnb. That's not gonna cost you too much. And if it's worth your pocket, then you can just spend like $600. Sometimes it's a good scheme available on Airbnbs and you can have it for like 2 weeks. And within 2 weeks, after paying that $600, you can enter into a lease by checking the apartments properly. So houses can be found on 3 places. Majorly where people go and look for it is Marketplace, Facebook, Kijiji, and Telegram. So if you're going to all these 3 places, you have to go through all the apartments which are available and see how much budget you have and if that fits the apartment. Based on that, you have to see if you want a house or apartment in sharing or you can afford a single room just by yourself. Well, I would tell you there are a lot of students, even including me, who came here and shared the apartments with certain friends or a group of students who came across the same time period as you. So it's like if you're getting a house with same people who have studies or work permit extended at between the same time as yours, it's easier for you to move out of the lease and look for another apartment after a year or so. So first of all, when you're looking for an apartment, you need to understand who's your landlord. In first meeting, you get a vibe while meeting a person. And if you're not getting a good vibe from a person, if the aura around that person is not good, you should not buy that property because sooner or later they are going to create problems for you. While having a conversation, you get to know what are the behavior instincts of a person. And if you're not aware about that, well, let me tell you, you have to ask certain questions and based on that questions, you will know. First question, if I'm gonna see your property and if I have some questions regarding plumbing and if I have any issues in the apartment, are you going to fix them? Answer has to be yes, and it has to be a humble yes. It should not be coming out with an attitude. And if it comes with an attitude, that means there's a problem. Second issue, when you're going to see a property, you have to take care of checking each and everything in the apartment. If the paint is done properly, wood flooring is accurate. It's not coming out of the floor. That means the wood is sticked properly. There are no places where it's broken. The major thing that you have to check is the plumbing issues. You have to go check each and every tap if it's working properly, the water is coming out. One important thing while checking your kitchens, you have to make sure there are no cockroaches. And when you're looking around in the apartment, if the apartment is extremely cozy, extremely full of stuff, there are huge chances apartment can have bed bugs. You don't have to stay in those kind of apartments. For the people who want pets in the house, they have certain amenities available in certain types of buildings, apartments or properties where they can keep their pets. You have the parking available in the building, outside the building or on the streets. So you have to take care of which location you are living in. One very important thing which you have to be careful while looking for an apartment is you have to see how many transits are available near your building or apartment which you're choosing. If you have no feasible transportation available near your building, you might end up wasting a lot of your time. If you're not planning on buying a car right away after you come to Canada, then you have to take care of the transit services available near you. You have to check which kind of hospitals or dental clinics or eye specialists or any other kind of health issues if those kind of doctors' clinics are available near you or not. You have to take care of the schools near you if you have kids in your house. You also have to take care of nearby supermarkets. Well, this is a very common thing in Canada. All the colonies have nearby supermarkets, but for some it could be far. Rural areas and some areas which are far away from the hub of the city, those areas might not have so common supermarkets near them. So you have to be careful you do not take a property there, otherwise you're gonna just repent your decision. Some people might prefer having a house near restaurants if you prefer working in restaurants. Travel time can cost you a lot of money living abroad. And if you're coming outside your country, time is money in all these developed countries. So to avoid that kind of blunder of wasting time during the travel, it's really important to look for apartment which could be near either from your college or from your work, or it would be better if you can just stay in the center somewhere which is like 20 minutes to the college and 20 minutes to the work, or like maximum 30 minutes. If it's getting more than that, that means you're gonna just waste suppose 2 hours in your transit, which does not make any sense. So just be careful while deciding where you have to live. Other than that, if you have a separate living room, that place can be used for self-studies and also for some group activities if you want to do it with your college friends or your roommates, depending upon how comfortable are your roommates in inviting people from outside. One major thing that you have to be careful about living in Canada is there are a lot of bed bugs in Canada. A lot. So to avoid them, it's better to not just invite people with their bags in your house, and if you're bringing them, like just make sure they are hygienic. Otherwise, may God bless you with the after effects of the bed bugs because that's something really annoying. One of the mistakes that I committed was I never checked with the rental board what are my rights. So when I first moved to Canada, for first 7 months, I was living in a property in which there was ceiling leakage, there were cockroaches, there were safety issues because the staircase on the side of the apartment which used to take us down was only stick by one screw in the building, and it could have fallen any of the days. And apartment rent was too high. Even though it was semi-furnished apartment, still it was not safe for me and not hygienic for me. If the landlord is not listening to you, then you can go and take these major actions. Now, in my situation, what happened was I had been calling the landlord for months and telling him to get extermination done in the building because of the cockroaches, and he did it. But after doing the extermination, instead of the cockroaches being reduced, they were increasing. And I told him multiple times about the severity of the buildings and it required maintenance. He was just saying that it's COVID right now, I cannot do anything, which I understood, but for me that was not safe to live there. So I am not allowed to breach my lease. Either I can sublease my property or I'm allowed to move out of the property with a proper notice, and for which the landlord kind of agreed. But later on, when other tenants were coming to see that property, I told them about these issues and the landlord had a problem, and he told me I'm not going to let you. Things went beyond my control. I had to go through NGO and my college. They helped me, and I also called Reg the Launchmo. If you need help from any of these NGOs, they help you. If you need help from your colleges, they help you. You don't have to be scared. But yes, you have to be aware that you have to pay rent on the first of every month or one day before the month begins. It's very important. In Canada, later than one day means late. On an eyes of law, if you go to the courts and you represent yourself, if it gets to that situation, you're not gonna be heard because you were a late pay on the rent. So never be late. You always have to pay your rent on first of every month. And if you don't do so, then you're going to be a culprit. Living in a property, a lot of people do not consider that house as their own. And they think like, I'm living here on rent and I can do whatever I want to. You have to make sure if you're living in a property, you do not exploit it. You do not damage it with personal intention. A regular time period can deteriorate the property and it can bring itself to maintenance and repair purposes, which the landlord is okay with and they try to resolve it for you. However, if the property is not taken care of by you, then you have to face the consequences while leaving the property here. You know what? A landlord cannot enter your property without your permission. If you're living in a house, they have to call you in advance, and in your presence only they can come in your property, otherwise they cannot. And they have to inform you prior. They cannot just give you a surprise visit and by saying that, hey, I'm here. That's not legally allowed here in Canada. You must know your power as a tenant in a house. However, you are not allowed to misuse your rights, because Reg de Logement or the rental boards here in Canada protects the rights of everybody, not just the tenants but also the landlords. Landlords can at the end of the lease come to you and say, see, you spoiled the paint. Even though it comes in repair and maintenance, some people are very stingy about that, and they want to put it under your security money. And if you see a locality is not clean, don't get apartments there. If you're gonna get the properties living in your country, you look it online and you're like, yes, I need a place to stay, I'm gonna stay in your property, and you sign the lease online, that's the biggest blunder you would do. Never do that mistake. Other than that, there are some legal rules which are abided by government here in Canada. So in Quebec, it's called Reg de Logement, who takes care of lessee and lessor, which means landlord and you as a tenant when you're living in a property, and they have some rules. And in English, that's called rental board, which is there in Canada in each province. So rental board of Ontario, rental board of Alberta, rental board of Manitoba, and etc. So if you're going to live in any of these provinces, you have to make sure to check what are the rules of rental board. And if your landlord says you have to give me security deposit of 1 month, that's fine. But if they're saying that they need a security deposit of 2 months and that is not going to be covered under your end of the lease, and it's a security deposit which you have to pay separately other than your last and first lease, see that there is something suspicious. And I'm gonna attach all the links in the description box for you below so that you can just go and see by yourself what are the rules and regulations while looking for a property on lease. See, if you're coming abroad for the first time without your family and you have never lived in such kind of situations before, things may happen. But you have to follow the rule of caveat emptor, which means let the buyer be aware. So you have to be aware of what you are going to have as a rented property and how you are going to live in a place. So we as students are coming here and we are giving 100% in a place while studying, while doing our jobs, supporting ourselves and our families. So it's very important we live in a place which is giving us peace and calm. One more important thing, there are a lot of rental properties on which rent for first or second month can be just waived off if they are new and if they are on certain good schemes. So while looking for apartment, it's very important you check for the apartments where you can get waive off on your first 2 rents, or if not first 2 rent, at least first rent. You also have to never give your SIN number to your landlord. They never ask for your SIN number. However, while signing you up for a new property, they might ask for certain documents like maybe see your passport, maybe see your work permit. However, they can only see it as a proof because also they want to be sure that we are hiring somebody who's true to what identity they are telling. They're not just manipulating around. So you should be helping them and you should be comfortable with them by just showing them the documents. They cannot take pictures or keep records of your documents. However, they might ask you to sign a document where it says that what salary are you going to earn, how you're going to pay your rent, because they have to be sure that rent for the property is being paid. And they might ask for a referral from your side for the people who can just refer that, no, I know this person, I have been living in Canada. If you don't have any such person in your friends who can just refer you to a landlord, in that situation, they might ask you for security deposit of even 2 months. So to avoid that security deposit, you have to go through this procedure, but 2 months is something too much. So to avoid that, it's always better that you give a referral of somebody. Well, I hope this video was very helpful for you. If it did help you, Thank you for watching my channel and keep coming back and supporting me with lots of love from your side. See you in next video. Till then, stay tuned, stick around, and bye bye.